So, just finished Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor. It's a pretty decent book. It's from 2008, I think it is. And I remember being quite excited at the time when it came out. It was, I don't know, it just seemed to be quite sort of, well, look at it, it's quite exciting, it's quite cinematic almost. And it's got a definite cinematic feel to it. Partly because it's kind of like an in-universe film that has been documented, I suppose. It begins following the Battle of Mindor, which is mentioned in the Essential Chronology, I think it is, and is then told sort of in retrospect from a variety of views, Luke's and Han's and all the rest of them. And it's sort of, it's got that, is this made up, is it real, sort of horror thriller, as they call them, feel to it. And it's actually quite good. It feels more in universe than a lot of other stories do, because of that, I suppose. The main antagonist is Black Hole, who was originally in one of the very early comics. One of these that have been collected in this anthology, The Early Adventures, Gambler's World. I did a blog on this last month, I think it was April sometime. The link will be in the description at the bottom if you would like to read that. Where we basically have this chap with his moon hat, as it's referred to in the novel, Agent Blackhole, who is somehow the director of Imperial Intelligence, but I always get confused by that because it's supposed to be Armand Izard, and his tenure is only broken when his daughter Zan kills him, or frames him and gets him killed. So where he actually fits, this Black Hole character, is a bit sort of, who knows. Black Hole was also mentioned in Star Wars Gamer number 5, remember that? Oh. In an article called The Emperor's Pawns, where he's given roleplay stats and things, and it sort of draws kind of a history through his link with Imperial Intelligence, and his link also to Colonel Jax, who is the main villain in the original Crimson Empire comic. In that comic, Colonel Jax has black armored stormtroopers, which also feature in the early adventures. And it's sort of a nice link, I suppose, between the Marvel, well, it wasn't even Marvel, I think it was the LA newspaper strip or something that this Gambler's World story was in. But it's these very early stories linking to Dark Horse. I mean, it was one of the earlier Dark Horse stories, but still, it's a nice link that we've got there. And, of course, Black Armored Stormtroopers feature quite a lot in here. One of them is an old original clone of Jango Fett, so it's actually quite a nicely told story. This clone isn't the only link to the Clone Wars era, as we've got two significant characters. I wouldn't call them secondary characters as such, but Nick Rostu, I don't actually think he's given his surname in that, but it's obvious it's Nick Rostu, and also Car Vastor, who both appeared in Shatterpoint, the also by Matthew Stover, the novel that kicked off the Clone Wars publishing program back when Attack of the Clones had just come out. This novel was, I seem to remember, being heavy going. It was good, but it was very. It's set on Mace Windu's homeworld of Harum Kal, and which is a very hot jungle planet, and you feel that you're there. You really do. Car Vastor is sort of, he's like an untamed. I mean, everyone on Harum Kal can use the Force to some extent or other, but Car Vastor is like this untamed behemoth almost of a guy who he's just like an animal, basically. He also appears in Shadows of Mindor as one of Black Hole's minions, almost. Black Hole's got this horrible sort of he's on this planet Mindor, which is sort of covered in this melt massive stuff, and he's bonded with this melt massive stuff, and all of his minions have also gone through this process where they've had this stuff put into their body, into like their veins and things. And it's some of the scenes in that are quite disgusting, I must admit. But anyway, and Carvastor has also had this bonding process done, which has made him even worse than he was in Shatterpoint. We don't actually find out. I don't seem to remember we find out what actually happens to them. So it's kind of like the door's still open on that one, really. I haven't actually read the Revenge of the Sith novelization, so you never know. It's also by Matthew Stokes, so you never know what might happen there, to be honest with you. Another link to the early years is the character of Fen Scheisser, what do you want to pronounce that? Who first appeared in one of the Marvel comics back in sort of early 80s, as it was, which is collected in Volume 4 of a long time ago. I think it's issue 68, where he rescues Princess Leia, and then this sort of burgeoning relationship type thing happens between the Mandalorian guy and Leia. As you can see, beautiful Marvel comic there with apparently this Fen Scheisser guy fought alongside Boba Fett during the Clone Wars, because this was back when Boba Fett was sort of the cool guy. Nobody knew his backstory, so let's just sort of throw all sorts of stuff in there. But that sort of awkward relationship almost between him and Leia is carried over into this one, where obviously this is set after Return of the Jedi, so Han is on the scene now. Han is actually quite jealous of this guy, and it makes for some interesting moments anyway. Lando is also there. Lando is still a general, because I think it's something like 6 months after Return of the Jedi, so it's quite, it's definitely got that feel to it as well. I think back when it was pre-release sort of thing, Matthew Stover said something like he wanted to get back to the pre-Zahn expanded universe that he'd grown up with, and it seems to do that quite well. It's got that quite sort of adventure-y feel to it, rather than sort of galaxy-spanning stuff. I think it's probably because of this horror thriller-esque side to it. It's got that feel of a sort of, this is just a bit of a lark, really, but it's really good. And even though it's now Legends and now it hasn't taken place or anything like that, still definitely worth seeking out if you haven't already and giving a read, because it's actually, I'm a huge fan of Luke Skywalker, so I'm probably biased anyway, but it's definitely worth giving a go. Shadows of Mindor, do it.